Do you feel a draft? That breeze is the cold winds blowing over a new season of football on the frozen tundra. Next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Hey, Packers fans, this is your Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, and these are the podcasters you're looking for. One of these guys actually kissed the magical 13.5-yard line, and the other guy will challenge you to a game of pinball anytime. And now, it's time to Go Pack Go with your hosts, Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinritz.
Glad to have you joining us on the Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. It's episode 177, recorded May 4th, 2019. I'm Wayne Henderson, and I think it's going to be so cool to get a Packers jersey that says Savage on the back.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's awesome. I'm at Troy Heinritz, and I can run the 40 in, 4 times 10.
Good
the
enough.
Game schedule is here. It's like, can you do math on the podcast? The game schedule is here. The game schedule is here. Yes, this is the annual time when Wayne says we're going to go 16-0. We'll have that coming up for you, as well as our free agency analysis and our 2019 draft selections.
And we're going to cover a little bit about the Aaron Rodgers interview, praying for Ted Thompson, and we'll have your G-Force feedback from 920-3PACK-GO, from email, and the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community that we love so much.
Links and articles we reference on this episode of the Packers Fan Podcast can be found on our website, packersfanpodcast.com/177.
And if you recently found our 3-time Podcast Award finalist Packers Fan Podcast on Pandora or on the radio.com app or even in iHeartRadio, we want to welcome you to the team. We should be active in all of those any day now.
Hashtag Go Pack Go.
Oh, definitely. Hashtag Go Pack Go.
Well, let's start out with the fun stuff first before we get into all the deep talk of players and analysis and stats and all of that stuff. It's all about the schedule, man. The schedule this year is a favorable one. Wayne, favorable in the fact that we start out with getting our ass kicked by the Bears. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my. That escalated quickly.
No, I think it's really great. We actually got the opening game Thursday, September 5th. This gives us a way to have a game and then get another nice 10 days off before we have to really think about the season.
Yeah, I think it's very favorable indeed. And maybe it gets chalked up to the fact of we didn't do all that hot last year.
Well, surprisingly, there's actually was 4 primetime games. If I'm looking at the schedule here, we got Thursday, September 5th. We got Thursday, September 26th. We got Monday, October 14th. We got the Sunday night game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that's the one everybody's looking forward to. I'm sure one of these is going to get flexed. And then, oh yeah, by the way, that Christmas Monday, we're also at the Vikings that week. So I think that's 5 primetime games.
It's definitely a lot more primetime games than what some people said we deserved. But the fact of the matter is the Packers are huge. There's millions of fans, and they will tune into primetime games, and that's all the networks really care about is fun and viewers. You combine those two, you get the Green Bay Packers.
So the bye week ends up coming about week 11, it looks like.
Nice.
And I think that's a really great way to kind of rest up and then make the final push.
Yeah, because remember a few years ago when the bye week was something like week 4 or 5? That was hard. But yeah, it's very nicely placed. After that, we come back and we play the mighty 49ers and then go play the Giants, who are in total disarray, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, the Redskins are a little bit of a wild card for me right now, and then we close up the season with 3 in the division. What do you think of the opening of the season and closing of the season been the division opponents? Do you find that adds a little excitement to the season?
Very much so. A lot of little spice, and it really gets a lot more factors into it because tiebreakers can come into play. Resting players for the playoffs could come into play. But the fact, I just think the NFL is finally getting this scheduling down to a method, because finishing off with 3 division games, starting off with 2 division games, we'll get a good feel for our team right away.
Here's the thing, though. I'm a little bit tired of playing the Lions the last game of the season.
Well, that's a good point. It's always the Lions.
Yeah, can we play the Bears or the Viking? Yeah, just switch it up with like who the last person. I think it's been Vikings it's been the Lions. I think the last 3 years, maybe 4.
It's all fuzzy.
But yeah, The Lions. The Lions.
And right in the middle of the season, we play 3 teams in a row with silver helmets. The Cowboys, the Lions, and the Raiders. What's up with that?
I don't know. And technically, the Eagles have silver, too.
A little bit of silver.
Yeah. But games that we will be attending this year are going to be the Raiders game for sure. At least I will be at the Raiders game.
The one in Lambeau or the preseason one that might be in Canada?
No. The Lambeau, actual game. Preseason? Preseason.
Yeah, okay. Just clarifying.
Now, could still try to make a play at maybe going to the Niners game. I love San Francisco, so I'd try to make that happen if I could. Haven't seen what prices are yet for those tickets, because that'd be a lot of fun to go to San Francisco. Maybe I could convince my wife to come with, because then we could go to San Francisco and then accidentally just go to the game.
Just a coincidence. Hey, Mrs. Heinrichs, while we're here, I just noticed the Packers are in town.
We should go. Say hi.
I know the SoCal Packer backers are going to be having their green and gold takeover at the Frisco game this year. They've already kind of taken their allotment, but I think with such a huge stadium like that, tickets might not be as hard to get because, yikes, I was scared off from the Chargers game immediately.
The fact that the Chargers wouldn't even give the SoCal backers group rates or sell them any kind of like block of tickets. Now, granted, the Carson Stadium isn't exactly the largest place in the world, so it's kind of hard to say, hey, let's go ahead and make 50% of our stadium green and gold when we have other people that do want to cheer for the Chargers because it's a good team. But at the same time, I think maybe they're being a little bit, what do you want to say, nose in the air about this whole thing, because you should allow the Packers fans to give tickets. Come on.
Yeah, because the Chargers, one, I think they saw what happened with the Rams game last year at the Coliseum. So many Packers fans. Plus, I still think it's fresh in the Chargers' mind about, I think it's something like 12 years ago when the Packers came to San Diego to play the Chargers. And I took my wife and kids down there. That was our first ever Packers game. And even then, we still had Brett Favre. I think we were fresh off the Super Bowl, maybe 1 year after. But it was also 50% Charger or 50% Packers fans. In fact, at that time, the vendors were even selling Packers jerseys, which really ticked off the Chargers. And they decided, okay, we're not going to sell the enemy's jerseys anymore. And I just don't know if they just don't want it to happen again. So props to them. But man, the scalpers, I mean, people selling their tickets because they decided they can't go. The prices, I mean, $250 a ticket and up to sit in the end zone, good tickets, similar to where your seats are at Lambeau Field, are about the same price as buying tickets to go to those seats at Lambeau Field, like $450 a ticket. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can make it happen, even though it's just down the street in Orange County. Especially
when it's at 4:25 in the afternoon on CBS, when it's going to be on TV. Like, yeah, airfare, hotel, 400. No.
Just too much.
All right. So should we go let's go down the line one by one and give our win or loss predictions?
Sure. Let's do it, Troy. Go Pack, go.
All right. Chicago Bears. What say you?
I think Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are going to have us primed and ready. There's no way we lose this game, even though it's in Chicago.
Okay, I'm going to say we open with a loss.
Oh, my. Okay.
All right, Minnesota Vikings, week 2.
Lambeau Field. I'm pretty confident we're going to win that one. The Vikings, they had their quote-unquote peak 2 seasons ago when they broke Aaron Rodgers, and it's just going back downhill.
I think we bounce back because of the loss, and that's a W for sure.
So we have to lose to the Bears in order to beat the Vikings?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying that's what's going to happen.
Oh, okay. And then we stay at Lambeau. Sunday, September.
Broncos.
Yeah, bring on the Broncos with whoever their quarterback is this year.
Gold game for that one. That's a gold game, and my brother's going to be going to that game. Turns out he's going to bring a friend of his where the husband is a Broncos fan and the wife is a Packers fan.
Whoa, mixed marriages.
Or maybe it's the other way around. But anyways, they're paying for the seats. That's all that matters.
And it's unfortunate they're going to go home not very happy after the Packers win that game against the Broncos. I think Joe Flacco's the Broncos now, right?
I have a W on that one as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Myself. Cool.
Been a short week.
So then we have the Thursday game against the Eagles.
Still at Lambeau. A trifecta at Lambeau Field. Victory. Thursday night victory. It's going to smell nice.
Short week, Thursday night.
But we don't have to travel.
I know, but it's the Eagles. I'm calling that one a loss.
Troy. What? Okay.
Just saying.
Okay. Then we get a little bit extra rest before we head down to Dallas to play in that giant tin can, Jerry's World, to play the Dallas Cowboys, who have never quite been the same since they had their awesome season 2 or 3 seasons ago.
They haven't been the same since we won the Super Bowl on the Giant Star. Yes. That's why this is a W all the way.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Rodgers, somehow that stadium brings him and the Packers to life. I hope they don't wait till the final 12 seconds to win, but we will win.
All right. Then we have the Detroit Lions coming back home to Lambeau.
It's time to put the kiddies back in their place. We win.
For sure. That is definitely a W. Then the Raiders, the other gold game of this season, one we will be at Lambeau Field. 2 home games back to back. What say you there, Wayne?
This, I predict, will be our biggest victory of the season. I just think, kind of last year how we beat the Bills fairly handily. We should have beaten them even more handily. This is our statement game against the Raiders.
Dude, I am so looking forward to watching another one of those 42 points or more games that we used to go to back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited. That is absolutely a win.
Yeah. Chucky and whoever else is in charge over in Oakland, their final season in Oakland, by the way, they are in disarray.
All right. Then we travel to Kansas City Sunday, October 27th. 1 year from the Ty Montgomery non-kneel down. Will they be able to pull it off on Sunday Night Football against the Kansas City Chiefs?
You go first.
Hell no. Sunday night, Aaron Rodgers, still can't figure that out. That's a loss.
Against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs
Yes.
at Arrowhead Stadium. Now,
I will say this. If we win that game and the Chiefs are as good, maybe even 10% less, maybe 10% more of what they were last year, if we win that game, then that makes the draft and the free agency season like the best thing in football because the defense is the only way we're going to win that game.
it's definitely Sunday Night Football's marquee game of the season. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. Now, of course, in the past, I've always talked about us going 16-0. We're going to win every game. No reason we can't win every single game. And then something goes wrong and we don't win every single game. What would happen if I were to say that if we were to lose a game, that it could be this one? Will we then, in reality, go on to the Super Bowl?
I love what you're saying. I think you should do that.
This is a scary game. If there's a game to lose, this is when it's going to happen.
So you're calling it a loss? Do I hear Wayne saying 15-1?
How do I bring myself to even say these words on the Packers Fan Podcast, devoted to the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers?
You can say 15-1. We've done that before. It was an amazing season. It's still okay.
Let's just say I will be surprised if we come out of that game with a victory.
All right. So Wayne's chalking it up to a loss. All right. Moving on. The Chargers then back-to-back on the road, going from Sunday night to Sunday afternoon. Not so bad, but you do have to go to the West Coast. What do you think about the Chargers?
I think Phillip Rivers' time is running out, and the Chargers are not going to be as good as everybody says they always are going to be, and they frequently are. This could be a close game. This might even go into overtime, but I do think we beat the Chargers.
I agree.
And I wish I was there to see it. Maybe I'll win the lotto between now and then.
I agree. That is a bounce back from the loss against the Chiefs. All right, then Carolina Panthers at home. That's a W.
Finally back at Lambeau Field after that stretch. Yeah, beating the Panthers. Might not be easy, but we're going to beat them going into the bye week. Woohoo! We made it.
But then we have to go West Coast again in the afternoon, which is a helper. back out to San Francisco. I don't know why they couldn't have switched these 2 weeks and kept us out on the West Coast, but whatever. So San Francisco 49ers. Pull that one out? Are they back on the rise?
Oh, absolutely. After resting up during the bye week and seeing the end of the season on the horizon, and if things are even partially true what some people say about Aaron Rodgers, he may want to stick it to the Niners yet again for not picking him. I don't know. I just don't think that team, even with the mighty Jimmy Garoppolo, are going to be as good as people think they are. That's a win.
I'm going to say it's a win only because we're coming off the bye.
Okay, fair enough.
If we were going back to back between the Panthers 49ers game, that would be a loss. But because we're coming off the bye with the rest, we're all good there.
And then we have to go to the other side of the country.
Yep.
And start off December in New York City, East Rutherford, New Jersey, technically. It's going to be probably chilly, but the Packers are used to that. Playing the New York Giants, a team in transition. Some people aren't happy with their new quarterback that they picked. I think Eli will be benched by then. Sorry, Eli. Thanks for the 2 Super Bowl victories over the Patriots, but the Packers will beat the Giants.
This is the overlook game of the year that I always like to pick, and this is the overlook one. The Giants will be better than they think they are, and they will destroy us because of the travel issue, so this is a loss for us.
Okay, we got a big split on this one because I think big victory, you think big loss. Ooh, we'll have to clean that out right away before we head back to Lambeau Field again for a couple of games.
Yes, the Redskins come to town Sunday, December 8th, and we will figure all of that out, and we'll be in a good spot to make a playoff run, so the Redskins is a W.
Yeah, the fans will be quite happy to have us back at Lambeau Field, but because prior to that game, the last game at Lambeau Field will be that November 10th game with the Panthers, then the bye, then the road, then the road. So that is a whole month between Lambeau Field games. The fans will be clamoring, as will the team.
Which is why the following week on Sunday, December 15th, when the Bears come to town as well, we're going to be super pumped and super amped, and that is a victory over the Bears, and we split with the Bears this season.
We do beat the Bears this week. We will sweep the Bears as of that week. If there's a way to financially come up with the money and travel and everything, that'd be a heck of a game to go to, don't you think?
I'm trying to get games for the opener in Chicago. That would be fantastic.
You drive down the street, go to the game, come home. Hopefully with a victory, even though you're not expecting the most. Then the Jawa Stadium, the Purple Freaks, the Vikings who have crashed and burned. Monday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings. They are not what they were. I don't think it's going to be as big of a victory as I would like it to be because I'd like us to win 52-0, but we are going to win.
This is where Matt LaFleur, being the new head coach, the pressure gets to him because he's on the brink of the playoffs. You can smell it, but just doesn't get everybody amped up for that road game against a divisional opponent. This is where we split with the Vikings, and we take a loss.
I think this is the game where we clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Oh. No.
The following week or earlier?
Well, but based on your record, we clinched it before December 1st, but... All right. And then we have the Lions at the end of the year. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it better not matter.
So I think as it all came down to it, I came up with 11-5 on the season.
And if we do any better than 15-1, I'll be very happy.
Sounds good. You heard it first, though, people. 15-1. It's the first time in, what is this, season 9 of the Packers Fan Podcast?
This is the beginning of season 9 of the Packers Fan Podcast. I've never even considered a loss.
So this means that if the Packers have a perfect record and win the Super Bowl, it's all because Wayne said they'd lose one time.
I do what I can, Troy. I do what I can.
Love it. All right. What did the people say out there in the Facebook land?
Well, when the schedule first came out, Andy Arias on Facebook says 16-0, easy peasy.
All right.
And then we asked a poll on Twitter and in the Facebook group, now that the Packers schedule's out, what game has you the most excited? And since Twitter only allows for 4 options in their polls, had to narrow it down to an initial list of Packers at Chiefs, Bears at Packers, Packers at Bears, and Packers at Chargers. We did have some write-in votes on Facebook because they allow that over there. Raiders at Packers, that you'll be at, and Packers at Cowboys. But
which I'd also like to go to if I could.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. I mean, I just hear that that's a big tin can of a stadium. But if for me, flights to Dallas would probably be very affordable. And my nephew is a Cowboys fan, so he's trying to talk me into this as well. So we'll see what happens. The results are in. 36% of the votes, and we had well over 100 votes. Packers at Chiefs coming in hot. People are amped up for that. Not surprisingly, Bears at Packers, 22% of the votes. 27% Packers at Bears. Week 1, we are just excited for the season. 10% said Packers at Chargers. And then those write-in votes got 2% for Raiders at Packers and 3% for Packers at Cowboys. And some comments that came in about the polls. The Plum Fool says he's mostly looking forward to the Packers Super Bowl game this year. Go Pack, go, Plum Fool. I love how you're thinking.
Packer MD said he's most excited for the Packers at Dallas game in particular.
Excellent. And RB says the Dallas Green Bay game. Go Pack, go. Hope to see you there. Yeehaw.
Hey, Wayne and Troy, this is Caleb Fisher from Green Bay, Wisconsin. I wanted to get your intake on the NFL draft and to see who you guys think we should pick. And all in all, no matter what, go Pack, go. Bleed green and gold till we're getting cold. Caleb Fisher from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Awesome, and so good to get a voicemail from you this time, Caleb Fisher. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and dig into the draft because I'm feeling pretty good about it myself.
We have a number 12 on our team, and we picked number 12 this year, and we grabbed Rashawn Gary from Michigan, 6'4", 277 pounds. He did ink his contract. So this is interesting. We'll tell you a few of the contracts that we know about, and this will give you some comparison about what it looks like from the, I would say, first round pick perspective versus the 7th round pick perspective. You'll see a very large disparity in cash.
But in the end, you may not have much disparity in your Super Bowl ring.
This is very true. So Gary's contract will be a total payout of $15,877,000.
Wow.
That's about a $4 million average per year over his 4-year deal. He does have a 5th-year club option, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as he moves along. And he takes home almost $10 million as a signing bonus of that $15 million.
So he'll be able to afford to go to the Packers at Chargers game.
Yes, he will. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, let's say you quit your job today, and then you're going to a job down the street and being like, "Yeah, I'll come work for you if you pay me $10 million." Ridiculous.
We have high hopes. Let's just say that.
And a $10 million bonus is a lot when you think about the shoulder injury that he suffered in 2018. That could be a concern because he is definitely better with his hands than he is with his feet. He uses that large upper body to do more swim moves, so he'll have to see how the shoulder holds up. And he's definitely better against the run than the pass. But he has good speed, as we've seen on some of his tapes, but then he kind of falters off if he gets burned. He kind of loses gas. So we'll have to see if that $10 million signing bonus is worth it to be that committed to the cap.
Well, he's still a pretty young guy, so I think with more coaching at the NFL level, the sky is pretty much the limit. His highlight reel, to me, from watching college players, which I don't watch hardly any college football, but his highlight reel was pretty spectacular to me. I know it's just the highlights, but still.
Well, then we have what I think is probably the strangest move of the draft.
Really?
To be quite honest, because I still think that Darnell Savage would have been there like at 44. So I don't know why we moved up, to be quite honest, and gave up the 4th round picks to get to 21 to get Savage. I think Savage would have been there well into the 2nd round.
Maybe, but you just don't know.
But that's just me. You don't know. And safety, it was a weak hole, right? We picked up the guy during free agency, but yeah, so you needed another one because Josh Jones. Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. This is where this move made the draft go from an A to a B, in my opinion.
Really? I just have to trust in Goody, hope for the best. I mean, on the plus side, Darnell has already signed his contract. It's good to see some of these players signing early, and so we don't have to deal with it as we head into main training camp or preseason. It's good stuff. 9
spots between 12 and 21. 9 spots is worth $3 million. Is that crazy?
Unbelievable. And this is defense.
Right. So $12.5 million, total is the contract, about $3 million a year over 4 years, plus that 5th-year club option. He takes home $7 million to the bank before camp even starts.
That's pretty impressive.
Man, so much money. So much money. Why can't you charge me $50 for a ticket instead of $350? Anyway, he's got a lot of speed, and he's really more impressive considering his history. He suffered a severe leg injury as a high school junior in Delaware. He broke his femur, Wayne.
Yikes.
I mean, that's crazy. Sometimes that leads to long-term lasting problems, but he's gotten faster as the years have gone on. So, and he also dislocated his knee at that same time on that tackle. That broke his leg. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
That is not the way you want to go, but obviously since high school, he's doing a lot better. Whether we blew those 4th-round picks or not to move up, it is what it is, and let's go play some ball now.
I think where this will actually be a really good thing is if he can play up in the box, right? So he'd be that 8th man. He can be like that, like Sharper was back in the day, where he just comes streaking in out of nowhere and blam, blast the guy. I think if we can get that kind of situation going with Savage, we can be, savage.
Anything close to Darren Sharper levels would be worth everything we traded away.
For sure. All right, then we move into second round, day 2, and I thought this was a really good pick. I thought we would go offensive line in day 1, to be quite honest, but we did get an offensive lineman, and a versatile one at that, Mr. Elgton Jenkins from Mississippi State, 6'4", 311 pounds.
Whoa.
This guy played in 49 career games with 34 starts, 26 of them at center. Now, we know center is not our issue, so he'll also played 5 at left tackle, 2 at left guard, and 1 at right tackle. And if you've done anything but listen to us over the years here at the Packers Fan Podcast, or at least watch the Packers and know anything about football, you know that the Packers love offensive linemen that can play multiple positions. So this adds a really great amount of depth for the line for Aaron Rodgers for years to come. Plus, he's only allowed one sack in 762 pass blocking snaps at center during his junior and senior seasons. That's crazy.
See, that alone is the reason to draft him, because, like you said, if we've learned anything, another thing we've learned is if Aaron Rodgers is not protected and he goes down, so can the season in a hurry.
Yeah, a really fast way. Did not allow a sack through the first 9 games of the season, surrendered 0 quarterback hits and only 6 total pressures, committed just 1 penalty, tied for the SEC lead in fewest total pressures allowed among centers who played at least 200 pass blocking snaps last season.
And this could be the help our offensive line desperately needs.
Desperately. Yeah, solid pick. Really like that one.
And I know a lot of people were like, why aren't we drafting a whole bunch of wide receivers? That's what we really need, is a bunch of wide receivers. And I'm like, no, we need to protect Aaron Rodgers, and we need to make our defense much improved, which so far I think is what we're doing.
Because lest we forget, we drafted a whole bunch of receivers last year. Okay. And we signed Geronimo Allison, and everything looks good from the offensive side. What we need to do is we need to be able to get Rodgers, get the ball to the receivers that we already have. That means offensive linemen. So yes, good pick. Good pick at 2. Then we had number 3, probably one of the funner stories of the draft, Jace Sternberger, tight end, which we desperately need, a long-term tight end solution. Texas A&M, 6'4", 251, like typical tight end stats. And this guy, oh my gosh, washed out at Kansas after 2 years. Then he resurfaced at Texas A&M following a junior college stop. He blossomed under Jimbo Fisher with 48 catches, 832 yards, and 10 tutties. That's more than Jimmy Graham did last year.
Oh, snap.
First of only 2 offensive skill players. 2, Wayne. We only picked 2 offensive skill positions in the entire draft and free agency. Think about that. Crazy.
And the fact that this Jay Sternberger not only has a cool name, not only is a young tight end, he looks like he likes to run over people when he's running with the ball. And the fact that this old picture of him from when he was like 1 or 2 years old, wearing his Brett Favre jersey, that was a thing of beauty. I think destiny is in his future.
I am your density. I mean, your destiny.
Back to the future. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. The 4th round was a sleepy one because we gave 2 picks away to get up to Savage. So we jump right into round 5 at number 150. We have defensive lineman Kingsley Kiki from Texas A&M. 6'3", 288 pounds. Probably, I think, Wayne, I'm telling you, this is the best value in the draft.
Oh, yeah?
Right here. Yeah. Kiki played a tad out of position at Texas A&M, where he took 62.2% of the snaps, lined up over or outside of the tackle. He's a great inside rusher, and he has a great insurance policy if we lose Mike Daniels in free agency next year. This is a pick where you're saying, what do I need this year, and what do I need for the future? And if it turns out that Mike Daniels does go, this is the guy that replaces him, and if he can play, this is going to be the best value of 2019.
And the fact that we have even more players from Texas will make the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics happy as well. Texas A&M representing.
Absolutely. All right, round 6 at 185, we took cornerback Kadar Holman from Toledo at 6 foot, 196 pounds. We needed, of course, a little bit of longevity in the secondary since we're getting a little bit old there as well with what we've kept. The Packers are looking to overcome adversity, and Holman is actually that pet project for the Packers this year. They love picking up guys who have overcome hardships and struggles and trials in their lives. And he's one of those. He actually never got recruited out of high school, and he wrote letters like crazy to the colleges and finally got a scholarship. And he played ball. And if you believe it, he's actually working on his master's now. Nice.
Smart young man. He may be able to go on some of the TV game shows like Aaron Rodgers likes to do and show people that sports guys can do that kind of stuff as well.
Absolutely. So, yeah, keep an eye on Holman. It'll be an interesting one in the secondary. And then everybody's like, why do you need another running back? We got running backs. Why are you picking a running back? But remember, we don't have a fullback. So you have to get 3 in the backfield. And so at round 6 at number 194, we picked Dexter Williams from Notre Dame, 5'11", 212 pounds. This is like a Danny Woodhead kind of build, if you will. He played this is the one where it gets a little bit tricky because he had a marijuana suspension, he had a 4-game suspension for school conduct policy in 2018, so he's had some trouble with the law, right? But this has been one of those like overcome stories. So Williams came back after the suspension in 2018 and just 9 games ran for almost 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns.
Well, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, so if he can keep himself clean, get his act together, really understand that this is a great opportunity for him long term. He's like that one cut breaker, right? He's like the Barry Sanders, one juke and gone. And if that's the case, that'd be some versatility to the backfield. Again, this is our only other skill position in the entire offseason that we picked up.
And what if Dexter does just blossom and become even 10% of Barry Sanders? And becomes a Packers legend. You never know.
Even if he's as good as Aaron Jones, and then you just have Aaron Jones and him rotate in and out.
I'll take it.
For sure. And then we closed up the draft in round 7 at 226. We got linebacker Ty Summers from TCU. More for the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics. 6'1", 241 pounds. Everyone says you need a QB of your defense. And did you know, Wayne? Ty Summers is a quarterback.
Oh, my. The trick plays are already running around in my head.
He played quarterback in high school, but ended up switching to defense in college. After injury in 2015, he actually played all of 16 and 17. Summers played linebacker and defensive end in 2018. He finished his senior season with 48 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. In 2017, Summers played in all 14 games and notched 64 tackles, 8 for a loss, and 4 sacks. And he was named to the All Big 12 honorable mention team in 17 and in 18. And then here is his contract for getting picked in round 7 of the draft. Are you ready?
So he's already signed as well.
He's already signed as well.
I'm ready. I'm sitting down.
Take a guess. How many million did he get for his signing bonus?
Maybe $500,000 signing bonus. I don't know, $700,000 a year. I don't really know what they make at the other levels.
Total value of his contract, $2.5 million. 2.6.
Oh, okay.
Give credit. We'll give credit where credit's due. $2.6 million. His signing bonus, just under 6 figures.
Oh, well, that is totally different than the first round picks, but not anything to throw away.
No. But yeah, $98,000 versus $10 million. That's what happens when you fall in the draft. So you can understand why Aaron Rodgers is a little pissy about it.
About when he dropped all the way to 24. That, right, again, was destiny. But, in Green Bay, $97,000, that'll go a long way.
It sure will. Sure will. Well, that is the draft. Overall, what'd you think? How'd you grade it out?
Myself, I give them either an A- or a B+. I wish there was something right in between those two. B++, A-, I don't know.
Yeah, I like the Savage pick. I just think reaching to get Savage at that point was a reach. So I'll say a B because of that.
Maybe we had a spy in one of the other war rooms and we heard that somebody was going to pick him up pretty quick. I don't know. Probably the team that wanted our 4th round picks. We also asked about the draft on Twitter and Facebook with our poll, saying this is basically a report card. In your always humble opinion, Packers fans, how would you grade the Packers 2019 draft? And again, over 100 votes, and the averages when combined, 26% of the voters said A, 58% gave us a B.
Those are smart people.
Yeah, very true. 14% rated us a C, and 2% were probably just Bears fans that voted just to tick us off and gave the Packers a D.
We also had a few comments about the draft regarding Green Bay selection of Jace Sternberger. Mike says, "Ooh, I like this."
And Edley on Twitter agrees, saying y'all just got the best tight end in college football last year. More production than either Font or Hawkinson, and with Rodgers throwing him the ball, Jay Stern will be wearing a gold jacket someday. Whoa.
Hopefully that is some high praise, and he is true. He was probably the best tight end in college football last year, so I'm pumped. Super pumped. Then over in the Facebook community, Granny Cheese herself, the leader of the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics, Dawn Lejeune, said, I gave the NFL draft a whole an A+. They put on a very respectful, charitable, good draft. I totally enjoyed it, and I believe we, Green Bay, drafted some real talent. Super excited for our season to begin. Go Pack Go, 2019 style.
Go Pack Go, Granny Cheese. Yeah, the draft was really fun. I think they did a pretty good job there in Nashville. Of course, in the final rounds, they were always talking over and showing someone else's highlights when the Packers picks came up. But, that's what happens in the 6th and 7th round anyway. And if they can have the draft, because I know we're probably never getting a Super Bowl at Lambeau Field like we deserve, if we can get the draft in Green Bay, I am going. Titletown District and all that.
Oh, man, that'd be so much fun.
And
much fun.
That new hotel that's like right across the street from Lambeau Field looks fantastic and expensive.
They won't. That hotel will not hold enough people. A lot of people have to stay in like Appleton and some of the other surrounding areas, and that's probably why the draft will never be in Green Bay, just because of the amount of hotel space.
Really, even with all the upgrades and the Titletown improvements and all that, still not enough.
It would be a great atmosphere. Don't get me wrong. It would be super fantastic, but because of that, I think that it's a challenge on how things are going to be able to be handled at the end of the day as far as logistics.
Just bus them all in from Milwaukee and then bus them home.
Put them on the train like they used to do back in the day when they used to play in Chicago and had to take the train from Green Bay to Chicago.
Hey, they could do it. Let's check in with more listener feedback. Packers Fan Podcast G-Force, you're always invited to share your thoughts on the show in a variety of ways. Our favorite is giving us a call at 920-3PACK-GO, but you can also go to PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback.
Hey, Wayne and Troy, it's Miguel in Arizona. Just wanted to give you guys a call and check in and talk a little bit about the Packers here. This off-season has been pretty interesting. Usually as Packer fans, we're kind of waiting for the draft to happen with not much activity and then just waiting for the season to kick off. But this year we've had a little bit of research to do, so it's been kind of cool. I'm excited. I'm very excited for the new season. As far as the draft goes, I haven't been able to keep up with everything that's going on, but I did get a chance to look at the highlights of our 1st and 2nd round pick, and they look like absolute studs. They look great. I can't wait to see them out on the field, and they're definitely going to fill some holes that we have, especially with Clay leaving, and with the help that we need in the secondary. And I think with Savage, with a name like Savage, you kind of got to live up to it, right? When you get a chance to go and hit somebody, I guess you got to put a little extra mustard on it when you have when your last name is Savage. So anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. I'm excited to listen to the podcast, and go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go indeed. Great to hear from you, Miguel. And yeah, this has been a really wild offseason. So much has happened, and that's why it took us so long to put out the episode, because every time we go to put out the podcast, something else is happening in Titletown, which is new territory for a lot of Packers fans. Goody's definitely going to work, and I love it, and I think that we're going to have a really amazing season. And just want to mention that Miguel actually launched his own podcast with his wife. Yes, it's called the Opposites Attract podcast. It's focused on family parenting and entrepreneurship. So definitely go check out Miguel's podcast and support him as part of the Packers Fan Podcast family. Again, that's the Opposites Attract podcast in your podcast player of choice.
Hi guys, this is Hank Davis from the Superhero Report, located at tpenetwork.com and anywhere fine podcasts are served. I wanted to give my thoughts on the Packers drafting Michigan defensive lineman Rashawn Gary. Since I'm from Michigan, I've watched every snap he took in college and wanted to say that he's a phenomenal athlete. He has the size, strength, and more importantly, the speed to make the transition to the next level. I know that there are some Packers fans who are not happy about the pick, but I wanted to point out a few things. First, at Michigan, Don Brown runs a defense that's centered around a linebacker or safety type of player that he calls the Viper. And that player, as the kids would say, gets all the shine, meaning that Gary and others were just there to make a play when they can, but primarily eat up blocks. That's the main reason that Rashawn Gary's numbers don't reflect his talent. 2, his speed. At 6'4" and almost 280 pounds, running a high 4.5 is insane. A sub 4.6 means that you can stick with most offensive players. What I think the Packers and Mike Pettin want from Gary is his run stuffing ability. Given that 4.58 that he ran at the combine, he has enough lateral speed to run down good running backs. Probably shed a few pounds, and he might even get faster. Third, he can, will, and does play hurt. As a former professional athlete myself, I can attest that you will be asked to perform while hurt, and Rashawn was hurt much of last season. So I'm not sure how he's going to look in coverage, to be absolutely honest with you, but if Mike Pettin has a really good idea how to use Gary, this will be an excellent addition to the Packers defense. But let's give it a couple seasons and see how it pans out. Thanks for putting this podcast together, guys.
You are very welcome, Mr. Hank Davis, the future voice of NFL films, as Dallin used to like to say. Bringing the knowledge. Thank you so much, Hank, and explaining why Packers fans should be happy and excited about our first round 12th draft pick of linebacker Rashawn Gary. What say you, Sir Troy?
I'm super excited about it because, number one, we have linebackers because we got rid of a bunch and there's some that have been hurt. And I think that this really gives us a nice way to go ahead and do exactly what Hank mentioned. It's not always about the linebackers getting the sacks. It's about the linebackers making a block so Savage can come through and make a sack.
Oh, teamwork. I see how that goes.
Yeah.
But Hank brings up a great point about how in the past, Rashawn has played hurt and will play hurt and is willing to play hurt. I just hope he doesn't have to play hurt.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Good stuff. Always great to hear from you and all of your calls at 920-3PACK-GO. Operators are standing by 24/7, even during the off season. So just drop us a note and say hi.
Please
Good
do.
to hear from you. All right, email from James, checking the mailbag. The draft is always inspiring. However, I don't follow college football, so I don't really know much about any of the players. I just look at the positions of the players we pick and then start watching their highlight reels. It's exciting to possibly have some future starters and or future favorite players joining the team. The season opener can't come soon enough. Love the podcast and can't wait for it to return to the weekly schedule. As always, bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Go Pack Go, James, out in Montana.
Fabulous. So good to hear from you. And I also can't wait for the season opener to get here. Football season is what I love to watch on TV more than anything else. And also can't wait till the podcast gets back to a weekly schedule, but we got to wait for preseason for that to start coming into view. But we appreciate your support, James. Also got an email from Steven, checking in from Powell's Park, Illinois, home of the rival Chicago Bears. And for the second year in a row, the Packers' first two games are against the Bears and the Vikings. That's never good. I bet Wayne will be singing I'm dreaming of a 16-0 season, just like the ones I used to know. Well, I'll sing that song after it happens. The Packers got more primetime games than I thought we would get. And a question for Mr. Troy. Can the Green Bay Packers finish with a better record than 6-9-1?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, sky's the limit. Steven continues, I like that our bye week is later this season in week 11, and I totally agree. I think that's the perfect spot for the bye week. Moving into the draft, did we need to trade up to select a player and then trade away both of our fourth-round picks for one player? Time will tell, Steven.
No.
Troy says no. I say, in Goody we trust, I hope. We don't have any Super Bowls under Goody yet for me to say that, but I still got to trust him. He's getting paid the big bucks. Let's see. I would have liked it more if Brian Gutekunst would have also drafted some more offensive players, but our defense should definitely be on fire this season. And overall, I'm giving the Packers a draft grade of a B, which is still really good.
I agree.
Yeah, I forget which network it was, but somebody ranked the NFC North drafts. They gave the Packers an A and gave like the Lions and Vikings, I think, a D, and the Bears a C. So I like that one.
The Lions draft. Yeah, the Lions draft was pretty pathetic.
I don't know what them and the Raiders were doing, but whatever.
And Caleb Fisher checks back in again. Hey, Wayne and Troy, Caleb and new wife, Kathy Fisher. The draft looked great. Impressed with our coach and GM did this here for our team. Hoping we can make the playoffs and cheering loudly up here. Green and gold, go Pack go, dead and cold, and all that fun stuff from Caleb Fisher and Kathy. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations indeed.
All right, let's take a look at the free agent signings really quick before we get out of here today. Fundamentals on defense and consistency is what we need, and that's what we got when we picked up safety Adrian Amos.
Nice.
First, it's always good to take rivals away from people because Adrian Amos was originally drafted by the Bears in the 5th round back in 2015. In his rookie season, Amos started in every game and recorded 67 tackles, 1 sack, and 2 passes defended. Next year, he played in 15 games with 62 tackles, 4 passes defended. And in 17, Amos recorded his first interception while posting 67 tackles, 3 passes defended, and 2 forced fumbles. Now, 18 was where he actually broke out finally and made the leap to the NFL because Amos notched 73 tackles, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, and 9 passes defended. So we are picking up Amos at a high point in his career, and I'm super excited.
Oh, me too. I'm just excited overall. The fact that Gutekunst is really digging in to free agency a lot more than Ted Thompson did. It's just a new way of doing things, and it gives us so much more hope.
Then we move on, and we have more great fun as Rashawn Gary has a good vet to learn from since we picked up Zadarius Smith, one of the top pass rushers from the Baltimore Ravens. Last year, Smith had a breakout season, tallying 45 tackles, 10 for a loss, and 8 sacks. He finished with a Pro Football Focus grade of 71.7, which was the 33rd best grade for all edge defenders. Smith was drafted by the Ravens in the 4th round back in 2015. In his rookie season, Smith notched 30 tackles, 7 for a loss, and 5.5 sacks.
Love it.
And then completing the law firm of Smith & Gary that we'll have on the D-line this year, Preston Smith, who we picked up, was drafted by the Redskins back in the 2nd round of 2015. He has played in every game of his 4-year career, recording 29 tackles for a loss, 24.5 sacks during that span. His best season was in 17 when he posted 42 tackles, 10 for a loss, 8 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 3 passes defended. In 2018, the Mississippi State alum notched 53 tackles, 5 for a loss, 4 sacks, 1 interception, and 3 passes defended. But I think the real big story here is how well Goody is looking at what he has and comparing it to the draft, because we picked up an offensive lineman also in free agency in Billy Turner. Turner gives the Packers a versatile lineman who has played everywhere but center in his NFL career. If you remember, when we talked about our draft pick, the draft pick played mostly at center. Look at the great teamwork here. His NFL career, which began in 2014 as a 3rd-round pick for the Dolphins, started 11 games for the Broncos last season, 4 at right tackle and 7 at right guard. There's that versatility that we like to look for. After missing all but 1 game of the 2017 season because of a hand injury, and since Jenkins primarily played center, I think this bodes well for the depth of the offensive line.
Oh, absolutely. And then if, heaven forbid, something does happen to our center, we've got these other guys with a lot of center experience. We'll rotate around like we have to do often.
Now, here's where things get really great, okay? July 24th is opening day, people. Shareholders meeting is on the calendar, 11 a.m. Make sure if you're a shareholder, you check it out. It'll live stream again this year, and then training camp starts the next day on the 25th.
Oh, yeah.
So mark your calendars. Head on up to Green Bay because training camp is a ton of fun.
Isn't it great the camp actually starts on my wife's birthday? She's very excited.
Oh, maybe you guys can come into town. You can stay here, and then we can drive up and spend a weekend.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, right now, the Westgate Las Vegas Superbook has Green Bay tied for third best odds in the NFC to win the Super Bowl at 14-1. In other words, if you bet $100 on the Pack today, you win $1,400 if they win the Super Bowl. That's not a bad payday.
No.
Well, only the Rams and the Saints at 8-1 boast shorter odds, while the Eagles and Bears are tied with the Packers at 14-1. So what that tells me is 5 teams are mentioned, 6 make the playoffs. That's good enough for me. That's a good season.
I like how you look at that, Troy. I'm always boggled. I know they always seem to finish well, but how many years can the Saints still be considered one of the elite teams in the NFC?
Well, they can with their offense they had last year, that's for sure. Well, the offseason was pretty good, but Pack missed an opportunity, in my humble opinion, on one Zach Brown, who recently signed with the Eagles. The middle linebacker spot is our long-term weakness right now, and Blake Martinez is owed a heck of a lot of money next year. He's got to have one heck of a season to make paying that bonus for the Pack to absorb those costs. So we'll see how it plays out. I think Zach Brown could have been somebody we picked up and plugged in there in case Martinez doesn't pan out.
But we missed out on that. And then, of course, we let Randall Cobb go to the Cowboys. So we'll see him at that game. And Clay went to the Rams. And I'm surprised how many people were surprised that we really did let Clay Matthews and Randall Cobb go. But we talked about this several times. Yeah.
2 years ago, we were like, we're surprised that they're sticking around.
I mean, I'm mildly surprised that Cobb went to the Cowboys, but oh well.
That's fine. You play where you play.
And Clay's back home in the Coliseum again, like back in college.
Yep. We'll cheer for both of them until we play against them.
Exactly.
Well, then we had the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Oh, my goodness.
Off-season misdirections.
So here's my take on the whole thing. The Bleacher Report said Aaron Rodgers is a tool. Rodgers says the Bleacher Report writer is a fool. I read both the article. I listened to Rodgers on Wilde and Tausch. And at the end of the day, I am sure there is truth in some of it somewhere. But what is true is this. Aaron Rodgers is a great leader. He is a competitive football player. He might say things that people might interpret one way or another. But I have Aaron Rodgers on my wall in very prominent fashion in my man cave of Green Bay Packers stuff. I probably worship Aaron Rodgers like most people worship Brett Favre. At the end of the day, football is football. They're there to win games. And whenever you talk about the situation with Aaron, and Aaron should do this, and Aaron should do that, and Mike McCarthy, and blah, 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 I will agree that the one thing that is true in this article is that it's always Jennings and Finley. Always.
Exactly.
That put their name, that are willing to put their names on it, which is good. Because, I mean, if you're going to complain about it, at least put your name on it. So, but it's always Jennings and Finley. So I don't understand what these two guys have against Aaron. I think that the stuff about McCarthy's taking massages and not showing up to meetings and like that stuff just seems really whacked out to me. Like that just seems like complete hogwash. So I'll stand behind the organization's decision though to fire McCarthy because at the time when the firing happened, they needed a spark if they were going to win the playoffs. And I still stand behind that Mike's comment in the post-game presser after Arizona is what sealed his fate, in my opinion. The minute he says, I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, that's when the call comes that he's done. So regardless of the Aaron Rodgers interview, regardless of the Mike McCarthy interview, regardless of any of that stuff that happened in the offseason, all I know is Packers football is Packers football. We win as a team, we lose as a team, and the team now has to go to work for 2019.
And I totally agree, 100%. And on the plus side, I think this does give Aaron Rodgers, the Packers players, and Coach LaFleur extra motivation to focus and make sure that we perform as high as possible of a level and just exceed all expectations so that we can truly put this behind us, because what a mess. And like you said, there's probably a little bit of truth on both sides. I will say that hearing that Aaron Rodgers interview on Wilde and Tausch, that was one of the best Aaron Rodgers interviews in years. The fact that he was so open, he was so intense, and I think he just wanted to get it off his chest. And Wilde and Tausch, there he goes. So we just had to focus on football. Like you said, football is football. We're also sending out prayers for former general manager Ted Thompson. According to Rob Demoski, the former Packers GM Ted Thompson is having trouble traveling and is at risk of missing his own Packers Hall of Fame ceremony. For Thompson to miss his own Hall of Fame induction because he's not doing well enough to travel would be incredibly unfortunate. The role of the general manager proved to be too demanding for Thompson when his health issues mounted, but unfortunately, the decrease in stress has not resulted in a clean bill of health yet for the 66-year-old executive. So that's very sad to hear, but we do send out prayers and good thoughts for Ted Thompson and his family to get well and make it to his own Hall of Fame Packers induction ceremony, because he did do a lot of great things for the green and gold.
Sure did. He sure did. Well, over in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group, there's the photo of the tight end, Jay Sternberger, in his Brett Favre jersey, so make sure you check that out. And also, rumors of when Packers might really play a game in England. Could it be happening? You never know. You never know.
Everybody wants it to happen. It's just all of the factors that go into making it happen.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a money grab for sure. That's really what it all comes down to. Is people don't want to give up the away game because for us it's an away game, for them it's a home game. People don't want to give that up because Packers are never going to give up a home game at Lambeau. I mean, that's the entire economy up there in Green Bay. So, but there's always lively, fun discussions happening on over in our Facebook group. Just go to packerscommunity.com. Some more talk about the exciting game schedule, the 2019 post-draft comments, players signings, and contracts, plus more great stuff from all of you at packerscommunity.com. Packers legend Willie Wood wore jersey number 24 for the Packers, and Bryant is a $24 a month supporter of our Packers Fan Podcast at packersfanpodcast.com/support. Make sure you head on over there, throw out a few bucks our way this season. Greatly helps out the show, and we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, it definitely helps keep things rolling with all the different costs involved with running the podcast, hosting the podcast, and all that good stuff. Also, the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics Facebook group supporting your Packers Fan Podcast at the $12 a month Aaron Rodgers pledge level. Stay tuned for their special Go Pack Go and shout out at the end of the show.
Supporting us at the Brett Favre $4 monthly level, never giving up, is Packers Fan Podcast MVP Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider podcast. Also, brand new supporter channeling their inner gunslinger, Lawrence Harvey. Welcome to the team. We also have good old Andre in LA supporting the podcast at the $4 level, and our $4 dedication to lifelong Packer backer Randy Westgame in Wausau. Plus, Jeff Summerfield, do you rock?
Absolutely. And Brett Favre would probably say, put her in the old Patreon or something like that. Also, could not help it. Go Pack Go to our Curly Lambeau $1 a month supporters, Velvet O'Clair, Aaron Peterson from the Hollywood Outsider, Hank Davis, who you heard earlier from the TPE network of podcasts, and brand new supporter, Matt Haug. And forgive me if I mispronounced your name, but we do thank you for your support. Go Pack Go.
You can make the podcast even better. Head on over there, Patreon, patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast, or go to PackersFanPodcast.com/support. Every dollar helps, and it makes us do some great things. The Packers Fan Podcast apps are going to be going away if they have not already, so you will not be getting new episodes on the apps. So if you are still using the app, make sure you just use Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora now, radio.com, iHeartRadio, all kinds of great ways to get the podcast, hence why we got rid of the apps. But if you guys send us enough money, we will make sure those apps come back. So definitely a way to do it. If you're not ready to select a tier, you can create your own custom pledge on Patreon. Heck, if you would like to just make a one-time PayPal donation to the show, you can do that too at PackersFanPodcast.com/one-time.
Just trying to make it easy. So thank you very much yet again to Aaron, Lawrence, Matt, Hank, the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics, Andre, Scotty, Bryant, Randy, Jeff, and Velvet. Your awesome support is much appreciated and keeps the show rolling along. Go Pack Go.
Well, it's been a fun off-season conversation here at the Packers Fan Podcast, which is unaffiliated with the NFL and is not affiliated with the Green Bay Packers either. But if you'd like to help us make that happen and you know somebody in the offices, tell them to hit us up at media@PackersFanPodcast.com.
And for all of the rest of the off-season, please continue following us on Twitter at PackersFanPod, as well as my personal account. I'm at Wayne Henderson. My Castle Rock Zone podcast is returning this summer as we look at Season 2 of Stephen King's very creepy Castle Rock on Hulu.
And I'm at Troy Heinrichs. We're just finishing up Season 6 of The Blacklist, which has been renewed for a 7th year. So if you like The Blacklist and love James Spader, make sure you check that out at theblacklistexposed.com or in your podcast app of choice. Be sure to follow our Packers Fan Podcast community at packerscommunity.com and join in on the fun.
And if you've got feedback, just go to packersfanpodcast.com/feedback to get your thoughts in. Let your voice be heard. Keep those conversations going online in the Facebook group and other areas. And next thing you know, mini camp, and then preseason, and then you'll be listening to more. But in the meantime, thanks for listening to this special episode of your Packers Fan Podcast.
It's going to be a great season, so let's get ready and let's get pumped. We're going into 2019 super amped with all the great things that are happening in this offseason, and there's nobody to tell you the biggest cheer of all time than our good friends from the Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics. Take us out.
This is Dawn down here in Texas, a.k.a. Granny Cheese.
Hi, I'm James.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery, proud mom of number 88, Ty Montgomery, and we want to say,
Go Pack Go!